Why tobacco is the most evil business. According to the World Health Organization, tobacco kills up to half of its users. Tobacco kills about 8 million people each year. More than 7 million of those deaths are a result of direct tobacco use, whereas around 1.2 million are the result of the non-smokers being exposed to secondhand smoke. Today, we all know that smoking causes disease and disability and damages practically every organ in the body. Tobacco smoking causes cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung disease, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and many more. But what about the time when tobacco was first introduced into the market and people were taught that it was not harmful at all? How much evil does tobacco businesses need to show just to guarantee that their product is safe, even if it was never safe in the first place? So in this video, we will explain why tobacco is known to be one of the most evil businesses in the world and how they started. Tobacco companies discovered a product that was almost perfect from a marketing standpoint 100 years ago. It was economical, extremely entertaining, portable, and it helped people deal with one of life's most challenging struggles, anxiety. On the other side, it was also addicting or creating a habit that was difficult to break, at least for many people. There was just one drawback, that people discovered many decades later: it was dangerous or unsafe to one's health. In most situations, it takes decades to notice any harm. So meet Edward Bernays, a 25-year-old Austrian-born Jew. Bernays saw that every business had its own role models, and if he could only figure out who they were and get them to advocate for whatever product he was selling, he'd be golden by the end of the 20s. Although Edward Bernays was a marketing legend, his most effective propaganda effort was set to begin in 1929. The president of the American Tobacco Company approached Edward for assistance. His company was doing well, but there was a completely untouched market he wanted to enter: women. In March 1929, at the Easter Day Parade in New York City, Edward Bernays had the idea to encourage women to smoke. His goal was to gather a group of attractive but not too attractive women to light up cigarettes as they walked along the parade route. Lucky Strike cigarette sales tripled in a year after women began smoking in public, and it became a symbol of freedom. New ideas for how to generate more money or persuade more people to buy your products are always being thrown around in competitive sectors like tobacco, and this is true for practically every other industry in existence. But of course, you realize cigarettes might grow even bigger and more profitable if you could only convince more people to take their first puff, and once they did, they'd be addicted. So you started one of the most fast-paced sales campaigns in history. You employ doctors and dentists to promote your product in order to reassure customers about the health risks it causes. Edward's strategy went a step further, paying celebrities to smoke on the big screen. Cigarettes have been transformed into something seductive, elegant, and alluring. The Marlboro Man made it appear as though only real men smoked cigarettes, and advertisements even went so far as to encourage children to do smoking too. They like using cartoons and symbols to attract our children. By the early 1960s, 42% of Americans were regular smokers, but in 1964, a report was released that changed the course of nicotine marketing forever. On January 11, 1964, the United States Surgeon General issued his findings on the link between smoking and cancer. Basically, it states that smoking was a direct cause of lung cancer in both men and women, as well as one of the leading causes of chronic bronchitis. 25 years before, it appeared that cigarette sales had ground to a halt. Something had to be done. You couldn't allow decades of hard work and propaganda burned down because of one doctor's opinion. Years of deceiving the public taught you one thing: if you could plant even the tiniest seed of doubt in people's minds, their addiction to tobacco would outweigh their medical concerns, and you would continue to profit. The plan was simple. First, you would go on a smear campaign, digging up every scrap of dirt on the doctors who were against cigarettes. No one would listen to a guy who cheated on his wife, make the health phonetics unlikable, and people would find their own reasons not to believe them. Number 2, overwhelm the public with scientific data so that they don't know what to trust or what it all means, and have hundreds of physicians and researchers produce contradictory reports, so that no one knows for certain what the truth is. Third, take on the health freaks in public by sending your most charming spokesman, since if the public loves you, they're less inclined to listen to a silent, uncharismatic scientist who can't hold their attention for more than 60 seconds. By 2019, global sales of legal tobacco products had reached $818 billion, with over 5.2 trillion cigarettes smoked each year, or roughly 1 million cigarettes every 60 seconds. Despite anti-marketing campaigns, approximately 20% of adults continue to smoke, despite the availability of healthier alternatives such as e-cigarettes and vaping. Big Tobacco appears to have discovered a completely new angle to exploit. Now, Big Tobacco may sound horrible, but the reality is that most companies, governments, and organizations seeking money and power engage in the same type of very calculating thinking that they just don't confess to the public. Over the past years, cigarette companies have disguised the truth that smoking raises the risk of cancer because they are afraid of losing money. However, the dangers of tobacco were discovered, and cigarette companies were forced to warn their customers about its danger. Money is said to be the root of all evil, and in this situation, it is correct. Tobacco companies profit from a highly addictive product. This substance is also lethal and hazardous to the user and other people around them. In my perspective, the type of people that would encourage and enable this type of company are morally lacking, and to say that tobacco businesses are evil would be an appropriate description. Before we wrap up this video, I'd like to share a quote that inspires me to keep going. "To create is effort, to copy is genius." Albert Einstein. If you want to start your own side hustle and start to expand your income, there are some videos marked below. Get in touch and we will get things moving. If you want to change your life, you need to make a change. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. Take care, stay safe, and I will catch up with you soon.